When I was little, I got into a lot of trouble. Eddie looked up at the top of the mountain and decided to start climbing. I woke up sweating and scared.
Ooh, what happens next? Now you are going to choose one of these situations and you are going to write a short story about what happens next. Do you have any ideas?
First, let's start with these story starting sentences. In sentence A and C, we see a lot of I. When I was little, I got into a lot of trouble, or I woke up sweating and scared. This means that if you choose one of these sentences or one of these stories, you have to write it in the first person, as if you are the one that is telling the story. But in sentence B, we see Eddie. This story is about Eddie, and Eddie is the third person, or he. So you would write this story as if you are talking about Eddie. Now, what if you don't know how to write a story? Yeesh! I have some tips for you. First of all, stories don't have to be true. You can invent this story. No problem. And it's okay to write something a little strange or weird. Be creative. It makes the story more interesting. Finally, keep it simple. Because remember, these stories only have to be 100 words with 3 paragraphs, or with a few sentences in each. The exposition, the action, and the resolution. What are these things, though? The exposition is when we present our characters and the place where the story happens. Let's look at the example. Here we have our story starting sentence with the characters and the place where the story happens. Perfect. Then we have the action, which is where we describe how the characters arrive in a problematic situation. Let's look at the example. Here we see a description of everything that happens until finally the characters have a big problem, which is that someone fell and broke their arm, and they had to call an ambulance. Yikes! Finally, we have the resolution, which is where the characters solve the problem and the story ends. Here's the example. In this story, the characters decide to stop playing dangerous games, and the story is finished. The end. Now, the parts of a story are kind of like a roller coaster. The first part is kind of flat, but it gives us some important information to get ready for the action, which builds and builds and builds and gets more exciting until we have the resolution, which is sort of short, but still very exciting. And then the story finishes. You can see that the action is the longest part of the story. Now, when you're finished, here are 3 things you can do. First, you can leave your story. Set it on your table and go do something else. Don't think about it anymore. Then, later, come back and check it for things like spelling and grammar mistakes. Finally, you can give it to a friend or a family member and they can tell you what they think. It's always great to have a second opinion when we are writing stories.
So now you are definitely ready to write your short story. Remember that there are no right or wrong answers. And if it's a little difficult to write at first, just try to write something. Later, you can go back and change it if you like. So, good luck! I'll see you next time. Bye-bye!